Welcome to the Acing Aging series here at Stanford. It's such a pleasure to see you again and so glad that you could join us. Today we have a very special guest, Dr. Stephanie Pincus from the Institute of Medicine. She's a scholar in residence there and is currently taking a big role in the end-of-life initiative that the Institute is leading. So thank you so much for being here, Stephanie. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here at Stanford today and to see you. I've known you a long time, and I remember when you first started in this field. It's been years.
Yeah, it has been years.
Yeah.
It's so wonderful that you did such pioneering work in terms of shaping palliative care education and training within the Department of Veterans Affairs. And now, many years later, here you are at the Institute of Medicine doing the same for palliative care and then leading this initiative. So can you tell us a little bit about what that's about and what's happening now?
Since I've been at the IOM, one of my focuses has to be to broaden their approach to end of life. And as part of that, we've done more than form a committee and analyze the data. We've tried to hold events that engage the public and bring it down to a level where people can engage their own emotions in dealing with end of life. I'm a firm believer in that end of life is not one of those things you can just approach with facts and figures. You need to think about how people feel and let the emotional part of life integrate with our decision making and our approach.
Well said. 20 years ago, I think the Institute had done a similar project on end of life, and now this looks like this is a second look at it. What was the impetus behind it? Why now?
Well, it was actually in 1997 that the previous report was released. The impetus behind it now is the recognition that we've made some progress, but still many, many people in this country do not die in a way that is in accord with their wishes and their families' wishes. We still have way too many people dying in hospitals after unnecessarily and futile care, and that needs to change. So it's really a recognition on a societal level that we need to make more progress.
Do you think that there will be the same barriers that we encountered a couple decades ago, or do you think that there are new barriers, or what is your sense of some of what is the social climate like, or what is the prevailing sentiment to the extent, and I know that's a broad question, but to the extent that you know?
I really believe that things are beginning to change, that we are reaching the tipping point. And I think the reason we're reaching the tipping point is a demographic reason. And that is as us baby boomers start to reach the age where we're dealing with our parents, we're seeing that things aren't the way we'd like them to be. And so I really believe that there is starting to be a groundswell of public engagement and a recognition that we have to address these events.
The two concerns that I see in my business when I think about end-of-life issues is, one is it often becomes, though we've gotten much better at prognosticating, a lot of times, even now, end-of-life becomes a retrospective diagnosis. So that is one challenge that I see all the time. And so because of that, I think doctors feel a little uncomfortable in terms of making the diagnosis that a person is actually in the last chapter of their life. So that's one concern. And then, of course, there is always this concern or public sentiment that somehow we will, if people recognize that they are at the end of life, that we will somehow provide suboptimal care. So those are the two concerns that I've seen in my practice. Is that something that resonates with you?
I think there are issues there, yes. And I think the medical profession has done a wonderful job of advancing medical care, but it's almost like people expect us as physicians to fix everything. And we can't fix everything. And so that's another confounding factor. It's not going to be easy. Social change is never easy. How many years did it take to reduce smoking in this country? Many, many years. So we're just starting out on a very long path.
And the part that I take a lot of hope and optimism is that what we are suggesting is the best possible care for everyone, depending on what their values are. And our goal is to improve quality of life while concurrently also maintaining the quantity of life. So a lot of times there is a false dichotomy of if I do this, should I not do that? To me, it's much more simpler than that in terms of you can actually have both, and data show that good symptom management and palliative care actually helps people live longer. So I think that, as you alluded to, I think we are at a tipping point, and I take hope and optimism in that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we do agree on these issues.
So I'm particularly glad that you're here because you're coming back again shortly. And when you come back, it's going to be for the Institute of Medicine event here on Stanford campus for the End of Life project. So as I understand, the public are welcome to participate in that event. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I can, and I'm delighted to. But first, I have to tell you a little bit about the IOM process. The IOM reports are the results of committee deliberations, and the committee deliberations are both public and private. And as part of the next deliberation of the committee focusing on end of life, there are going to be some public events here at Stanford. And the public events are going to address caregiving and as well as provide some perspective on what's going on across the country. For caregiving, we're going to start off with a talk by Lynn Feinberg, who is probably the nation's expert on caregiving, who's at the AARP, and is going to talk about some of the policy aspects of caregiving. And then we're going to have panels that will focus both on pediatrics and on diversity. And you're actually bringing some patients and their families as well as some people from the community to look at different aspects focusing on diversity. And then we're going to have several presentations that focus on what's going on around the country, from Oregon, Massachusetts, and the center of the country. So we do hope that the public will come and feel free to engage and ask questions and talk to the committee members. This will give them an opportunity to hear what people think and feel about end of life. So we're hoping that this will be a very well-attended event.
And as I understand it, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for the public to engage and give their personal stories or perspectives in terms of influencing the process. So members of the public should really feel welcome to come to Stanford campus and participate and interact with the committee. That's my understanding, is that?
Absolutely. And then there will be things on the web, ways that they can submit material. We're also having another public event at Chautauqua in August. So this is really an opportunity for the public to get engaged.
And so if there are multiple people who actually want to submit materials based on their own writing or their experiences or videos or whatever it is, what happens once the materials are submitted? How can the public actually know that their information was attended to?
Well, they will be posted in the on the website, and there will be things and the committee does have access, and there are things that they can see, and hopefully the committee will address those things in their deliberations and recommendations.
You heard Dr. Pincus's warm invitation. We really want the public to be engaged in the End of Life initiative that we have right here on campus on May 29th, which is a Wednesday. So we really hope that you can participate and offer your opinion, because we want the committee to hear your voice so that when they finally produce this document that is going to shape end-of-life care in our nation, we want to ensure that you've had your say. So please do use the web link that we have along with this post, and do join us for this public event. We look forward to seeing you there.